Hello, my name's Henry. Today, I'll be walking you through the basics of Anki, the open source flashcard program. In this tutorial, we'll cover the following topics: why use Anki, how do I see all my flashcards, how do I add flashcards, how do I review my flashcards, how do I customize my flashcards, how do I find a flashcard I made previously, how do I organize my flashcards, how do I back up my flashcards, and how do I fix a sync error? You may be wondering, why bother using Anki? There's a lot of buttons and a lot of options, and I don't know anyone else who uses it. Why not just use Quizlet? Unlike many other programs, Anki helps you learn faster by using customized, spaced repetition. In short, this means that you won't review every flashcard every day, like you would with a traditional physical deck of flashcards. Anki adjusts how often a particular flashcard comes up for review depending on how quickly you've recalled the answer to that flashcard in the past. This saves you time by reducing the number of flashcards you need to review every day. But more importantly, these spaced repetitions have been proven to increase your retention by giving you opportunities to recall the information later on. Now, this spacing strategy can feel counterintuitive, especially because your cards don't appear in your deck once they've been reviewed. You might think to yourself, if I really want to know this information inside and out, shouldn't I review my flashcards as often as possible? While that's understandable, it's the process of allowing time in between times you see a card that's going to strengthen your ability to recall it later in real life outside of Anki. Hence, Anki helps you accumulate knowledge gradually through consistently reviewing your cards over a long period of time. If you can't remember an answer when a card comes up for review, don't worry. Anki will reintroduce it to your deck until you've got it down again. Long-term users of Anki often report having previous answers sort of pop into their minds before their cards even come up for review. Like other means of studying, Anki actively shapes your brain to help recall information over time. Now, the first question that many people ask when using Anki is, how do I see all my flashcards? Where are they? I'm used to seeing all of them in a nice row like when I'm using Quizlet. Or you may think to yourself, I have a test Friday. I need to see all my cards now. I don't have 6 months to gradually learn them. While admittedly, cramming isn't the ideal study strategy, sometimes you need to do what you need to do to pass an exam. Although Anki is specifically designed to discourage cramming and encourage long-term learning, there is a way to cram review every card in a deck. You can do this by using a workaround, which creates a temporary filtered deck. Here's how. To do this, just click Tools in the menu bar, then click Create Filtered Deck. Next, give your deck a name such as Bioexam Cramming. Next, specify the deck you want to review in this search box here. To review all your cards, not just the cards that are ready for review, delete the words "is due" from here. Next, increase the limit to a big number like 1,000 to make sure you see all your cards. Now, uncheck the reschedule cards based on my answers in this deck box. I repeat, make sure this box is not checked, or it will permanently modify the due dates of every card in this deck. To finish your new filtered deck, just click Rebuild. Anki will include a blurb beneath the deck title to remind you that this is a special filtered deck, not your original deck. If you need to, you can delete this special filtered deck later on. Don't worry, deleting it will not delete your original deck or any of the cards in it. Next, you may be wondering how to add flashcards. To create your first card, all you need to do is click the Add button at the top of the window or simply press the letter A on your keyboard. This opens the Add Card window. There's two entry fields here, the front field, which will contain your question, and the back field, which will contain the answer. There's also a Deck button on the upper right that will specify which deck the card will be placed under. When you're finished, you can add the card to your deck by clicking Add on the bottom left or by using the shortcut Control-Enter or Command-Enter on a Mac. Now, to review your flashcards, just click the deck, then click Study Now. or you can just press the spacebar. Anki will then display the front side of a random card in your deck. Once you've recalled the answer, either by thinking it to yourself, saying it out loud, or my personal favorite, writing it down, you can press the spacebar to show the answer, or just click the Show Answer button. When the answer is displayed, you'll also see your interval options at the bottom of the window. The number above each button tells you how long it'll be until Anki displays this card again. Now, the way to determine which button you should click is how quickly you were able to recall the answer just now. If you weren't able to recall the answer at all, just click the Again button. This means that you'll see the card again almost immediately. You can repeat this as many times as you need to until you've got it down. Don't be afraid to click again if you just can't recall an answer. If you were able to recall the answer, but it took you a while, or you didn't quite remember it or didn't remember all of it, click the Hard button. If you successfully recalled the answer, click the Good button. This advances that individual card, meaning that its intervals will be a little longer. And if the flashcard was a total non-brainer for you, click the Easy button. This means that you'll see it several days later, because you clearly don't need to review it as often as a card that you couldn't recall at all. To save time, you can select these 4 options, again, hard, good, or easy, by pressing the numbers 1, 2, 3, or 4 on your keyboard. The specific values associated with each interval option will change depending on a variety of factors, which Anki is figuring out for you behind the scenes. It'll optimize these numbers so that you only see the card as often as you need to in order to avoid forgetting it. Hence, you're going to see a card much more often when it's new than if it had been in your deck for several months. If you need your cards to have a different format than a simple question-answer with static text, Anki offers a lot of options for customizing your flashcards. There's 3 common ones that this tutorial is going to highlight. Reversed cards, which automatically create an opposite card, cloze cards, which create a fill-in-the-blank spot, and typing the answer cards, which require a typed answer. Now, the reverse card option, like we just mentioned, automatically creates a second flashcard that is the reverse of the first one. This means you won't have to manually create a second flashcard that's the opposite of the first. In our example, this could allow us to practice going from a Latin word to an English word and vice versa. Again, it's generally extremely helpful for learning languages. Now, to make a reverse card, simply open the Add Card window and click on the Basic button in the Type field on the upper left. In the Choose Note Type window, select Basic and Reverse Card, then click Choose. Now, enter your clue and your answer, and click Add. If we look in the Browse window, we can see that 2 cards have been created. Please note that when you're viewing a pair of reversed flashcards in the Browse tab, they will display identically. Any edits you make to one card will be made to the other, even though they appear to be the same card in the browser window. If you're worried about accidentally making a duplicate card, know that Anki will highlight the Add Card screen with a red border if it realizes that you're making a card that is identical to an existing card. Another helpful flashcard option is the cloze option. In our example, I want to make a flashcard for 1660, the year in which the English Commonwealth was dissolved. To do this, click Basic in the Type field, select Cloze, and click Choose. Now enter your clue and your answer. Now, to hide the year 1660 in this example, I'll just click the Close Deletion button right here. Type the word that you want to hide after the colons, but before the closing bracket. Your cursor will automatically go here. You don't need to put anything on the back necessarily, unless you'd like to add extra notes. Now, click Add. Now, when we review this card, you'll see the clue with the omitted word with brackets and an ellipsis highlighted blue. When you press space to flip the card over, it'll fill in the missing word. The third and final flashcard option we'll discuss today is the basic type in the answer option. This option requires you to type in the answer exactly correctly, so it's particularly helpful for studying vocabulary of a foreign language or maybe difficult scientific terms. To do this, just click the button next to the type field and then select Basic Type in the Answer, then click Choose. You'll type your clue in the first field and the answer that needs to be typed correctly in the second field. So in this case, the word I want to spell correctly is lumpenproletariat. When I'm done typing in the question and the answer, just click Add. Now, when you review this card, you'll have a text box where you'll type in the answer. Now, if you misspell the answer and then click Answer, if you get the answer wrong, Anki will tell you exactly what you misspelled. Based on your answer, you can use the interval options at the bottom of the screen to judge what time interval you want to see. Now, you may be wondering, how do I find a flashcard that I've already made? I've reviewed my cards, and now it's saying that my decks are simply empty. To view and edit your flashcards, just click on the Browse tab at the top of the Anki homepage, or press B on your keyboard. In this Browse window, you can search for cards, edit them, tag them, and sort them by parameters, such as which deck they belong to or when they were created. In the middle portion of the window, near the where you see sort field, there are multiple categories already built in to help you sort your decks. In addition to the type of card, such as basic or basic in reverse, you can also sort by alphabetically what the card contains, when that card is going to be due next, the deck the card belongs to, the date the card was created, or its current interval. As a brief aside, an interval for an Anki card is the amount of time it needs to wait before showing up again in your deck. When you successively click Good or Easy on a card, it graduates it through a series of intervals. The maximum interval for your deck is, by default, 1 year. You can change this if you'd like, but for beginner users, I recommend keeping Anki settings at their default. Now, you may be using Anki and having a lot of success, but you probably will have a lot of flashcards if you're using it regularly, and you may be looking to organize them. There are many different methods for organizing Anki cards, but the three most common are decks, nested decks, and tags. Decks are the most straightforward method and also the default. Think of them as a big container for your flashcards, just like a physical deck of flashcards. They're just like a pile of digital flashcards. To create a new one, simply click Create Deck at the bottom of the window, type in its name, and click OK. Philosophies about how to use decks vary. I know some people who prefer to put all their cards in one big deck so they don't spend time worrying about which deck a card should belong in, and others, however, like using different decks for different topics. Pictured here is a screen cap from my personal Anki decks, where I prefer using a series of loose categories that appeal intuitively to me to keep my decks organized. This avoids a situation of having one big deck with, 500 cards due or something. By breaking them up into little chunks like this, it helps me stay motivated to study. It's worth noting that decks are nestable, so this means that you can click and drag them to form tiers. In this slide right here, I've clicked and dragged my jazz deck to be part of my art music deck. Note that if you view the parent deck, you're going to see cards from any subdecks inside that deck. So to put that more clearly, if I click on art music and I review the cards there, I'm going to see my jazz cards as well. Conversely, if I clicked on jazz and reviewed cards, I would only see the cards in my jazz deck. Note that if you delete a subdeck, that means you've deleted the cards in it as well. So be careful with deleting your decks. If you want to delete a deck without getting rid of the cards in it, simply go to the Browse window, click on a card, use the shortcut Control A or Command A, and then use Control D to open the Move Deck window. This will allow you to place the cards in a different deck. Then you can safely delete that original deck knowing that there's no cards in it. I want to stress this one more time. If you delete a deck that contains cards, that will also delete those cards. You can also use tags to organize your cards. This is particularly helpful for small sets of information, such as world capitals or the contents of a chapter in your biology textbook. Just like decks, you can create nested tags by using a colon. For instance, I could type science : physics, or if I had used nested tags in this example slide here, I could have done world capitals : African capitals. You can see all your current tags in the Browse window on the very bottom of the sidebar. You may need to scroll down to see that, as there's other sorting options available there. Note that deleting a tag will not delete the cards that have that tag. I want to stress this again. If you accidentally delete a tag, that did not delete the cards with that tag. If you see a tag that doesn't have any cards under it, that's probably because you may have added a tag to a card that you typed incorrectly, and then you removed that tag. However, that tag in Anki's mind still exists. So if you see any tags with no cards attached, that's probably why. You can delete those without any worry of losing cards. If you want to double check, just click on that tag in this portion of the window highlighted in red, and in the window just to the right, you'll see any cards associated with it. Now, all this talk about cards accidentally disappearing brings up a serious point. How do I back up my cards? Now, Anki is open source and maintained by a community of volunteers. And in their goodness, they've created a web service called AnkiWeb. This syncs your flashcard collection to their servers for free. This does two things. Number one, it automatically creates a backup of your decks, including any images. But it also allows you to sync your cards with the Anki client on your mobile device. If you're on the go often, I would highly recommend downloading Anki, which is available on the Apple App Store or the Android Store. The only way that Anki's volunteers accept payment is through the App Store Anki app purchase, which is $20. It is a little steep, but it's not a subscription, only a one-time purchase, and it is the only source of revenue for these developers. What's worth noting, I am not affiliated with Anki or its developers. I'm merely a passionate fan. But if you're on the go a lot, I would highly recommend paying for the application. By using AnkiWeb, which you can create an account for, this will sync your flashcards to their servers, which means that if I want to review cards on my phone when I'm on the bus, I can review my cards, then click sync. Then when I come home and I open Anki on my desktop, it'll sync with their servers and update my local Anki client on my desktop computer. It'll update it with my progress I made on my phone. That being said, though, it is best to have local backups, especially if your grades depend on your access to Anki. While Anki is a very reliable piece of software, computers aren't. You always need to be prepared for a hard drive to go bad or for someone to, spill a drink on your computer accidentally. Therefore, I would highly, highly recommend backing up your Anki deck at least once a week, preferably to a cloud service or to a physical hard drive. To export all your Anki decks in one big file, just click the File tab on the top toolbar, then click Export. Make sure the Include Media box is checked. This ensures that your backup will include any images, audio clips, or other media that you've attached to your cards. Then click Export, select a location for your backup file, and click Save. If you need to open a backup later, don't worry, it's simple. You'll just click the File tab on the top toolbar, click Import, and select your backup file. This will open that backup file, and you'll have the exact state of your Anki deck back. timestamp to whenever that backup was made. A last topic I'd like to cover is how to fix a sync error. Now, if you use AnkiWeb, you may get a scary warning message sometimes about a conflict between DEX on this device and AnkiWeb. This scared me too the first time I saw it, but don't worry, you haven't lost any data and it's a simple fix. This message pops up when you try to sync your DEX after you've changed the note type of an already existing card. To give you an example, let's say I was making world capital flashcards and I made a flashcard saying that Conakry is the capital of Guinea. And I hit enter and I add that card to my deck. And then later I realized, oh, whoops, I meant for that to be a basic and reversed card. So that way I could remember Conakry to Guinea and Guinea to Conakry, right? Well, if I go back into my deck and change the note type later, Anki has a quirk where it wants to verify if the current local copy of your deck is the authoritative copy or if the copy up in the cloud is authoritative. Now, don't worry. Whenever you open Anki, it syncs with the cloud. So whatever progress you've made on your local device is authoritative. That is the current copy of Anki. So if you get this scary pop-up window saying that there's a conflict between DEX on this device and AnkiWeb, always click Upload to AnkiWeb. Let me repeat, always click Upload to AnkiWeb. If you click Download to AnkiWeb, download from AnkiWeb, if you click that, it's going to take the copy of your deck stored on AnkiWeb, which is now old, and copy it to your computer, overwriting the progress you've made in this session. While if you do frequent backups, this shouldn't be a big issue. It is possible to lose progress this way. I've made that mistake a few times before. I wanted to highlight this and really drive it home. Again, if this scary sync error appears, just click Upload. That will solve your problem. Now, this tutorial only covers the basics of creating and reviewing cards in Anki, and you'll learn what intervals are best for you and what organizational techniques work best for you the more you use this program. For detailed documentation, you can always check out the Anki manual at docs.ankiweb.net. There's a search bar there if you want to find information on a specific term. Thank you for listening, and I wish you the best with Anki, the world's most powerful digital flashcard program.